Hey babes, it's been a while. I'm sorry that I have been off for the last 3 weeks, but I just had a lot going on with family stuff. My brother got married, I had the baby shower. It was just a lot of prepping and planning, and I wanted to take that time to just focus on that and the babe. And yeah, so everything's good. I just wanted to say sorry. It has been 3 weeks, I know, but I wanted to give an update on my gestational diabetes first, and then I'll be uploading a bunch of videos coming up of the baby shower and other things, so stay tuned. So I just wanted to go through the things that affect me most with my gestational diabetes. As everyone knows, I took the 1 hour and the 3 hour fasting gestational diabetes test. I did fail both just by a little bit, and they considered me borderline. So for the first 2 weeks of my gestational diabetes world, I was just diet controlled. I did really well with this, although my fasting numbers just couldn't get under control no matter what I had for bedtime snack or how many hours I had in between my bedtime snack and waking and testing. It seemed like my body was creating too much glucose on its own. They've decided to put me on a 2.5 milligram of glyburide. I take it at dinner, just one little pill at dinner, and that helps my overnight fasting number, and that's it. So I'm not on any insulin during the day or anything like that. And the glyburide seems to be helping a lot. At first, I felt so disappointed in myself for having to go on the glyburide, simply because I was doing really well with the diet. I wasn't having any issues. All my numbers were great throughout the day for all my other numbers. So it was just really, really frustrating that you do everything right and still it was not working out. So I'm going to go through things that help me keep my sugars under control, a few things, just pointers and tips, and what my situation is with the pregnancy then. So the first topic is just going to be how to keep it all under control. So my rule of thumb, first and foremost, is high proteins, lower carbs. This can be skewed and taken incorrectly. When I say lower carbs, I'm not saying completely eliminate all of your carbs throughout the day, because if you do that, you're also putting yourself at risk, and your body's going to create sugars for energy, and it's just not going to work out. So you have to eat carbs. That's number one. But when you eat the higher protein foods, I find that your body digests the carbs easier. And when I'm talking about carbs, I'm talking about healthy whole wheat or natural carbs. So like an apple is a natural carb, whole wheat bread, good healthy nutritious things that your body needs to break down to create sugar, to create energy. So what I've been doing, I've been hard boiling eggs. I bought some Jimmy Dean microwavable frittatas. Those are great in protein. I think it's like 13 grams for 2 little frittatas, and like 9 grams of carbs. So that's great. So the protein is, it's easier to come by than you think, but just being really conscious of having a really good protein with all of your meals is so important. My second tip for keeping it under control is, if you do test and your sugar is a little higher than you wish, get up. I found that even if I just do like a quick little walk to the bathroom when I'm in the office, and I come back and I test again, it'll be 5 to 10 points lower. People that are having a hard time exercising, I'm not saying go out and deadlift. I'm saying just get up from your chair, move around a little, maybe stretch. Stretching always helps. And honestly, I guarantee you it will go down a couple points, if not several points, with just like a 10-15 minute exercise. So I always try to do that. If I'm ever in, the only numbers I usually see that are a little bit high are my lunch numbers. So at that point in the day, I need a stretch anyway. So I go downstairs, I get the mail, I come to the bathroom, I walk back to the office. You know, I mean, there's so many ways that you can just do a quick brisk walk, and that usually does it for me. Another tidbit of how to keep things under control is find snacks that you actually want to eat. For a long time, I was shoving things down my throat that I just did not want. Like, for a minute, I was really having a food aversion for the eggs. Like, I just didn't want the eggs. So I had to find another source of protein, so I switched it to Greek yogurt. I think it's so important to find foods that you actually like, because if you're eating things that make you miserable, you're going to tend to be miserable. That's the hardest part with GD, is the foods aren't that yummy per se. It's not like snacking on some pie or something like that, but it just makes things much easier when you can grab something that actually sounds yummy. So I've been grabbing special K-bars with protein in them. Those are a great source of carbs versus protein too. Greek yogurts, like I said, Greek yogurt drinks. I found Chobani yogurt drinks and they are so good. And they're a perfect snack, perfect. Cheese and crackers, cheese and grapes, and another go-to I always do is like an apple and peanut butter. It's yummy, it's sweet, it gets my sweet tooth out. One thing that I want to mention that I would die without is Fairlife milk, which is so weird. I don't even like milk naturally, but Fairlife chocolate milk, like when I'm getting a sweet tooth, I compare it to like a chocolate milkshake because I don't really drink chocolate milkshakes ever, but it is so yummy and so good, and it's great protein and super low carbs. Check it out, Fairlife milk. I found it everywhere at my local Tops, Wegmans, at Walmart. I had it. I mean, I've been seeing it everywhere. So it's actually like a very popular brand now. It actually has low lactose, which is great because my stomach actually gets upset when I drink too much dairy. So this is a nice alternative if you want something sweet. And then, like I mentioned before, just convert all of your breads to whole wheats or whole grains. Your body breaks those wheat factors down better than simple carbs like white processed bread. It is so much more nutritious on so many levels. I've been eating whole grain bread always, so it wasn't that bad of a switch for me. Some people really hate the taste of it. All I can say is if you're looking for a good 12 grain or whole grain bread, my favorite is Roman meal. Roman meal 12 grain. Again, you can find this at Walmart, Wegmans, I mean everywhere. And it is so good, and it's thick, and I like hearty breads. I feel like I don't like my bread all floppy, and I find just whole wheat plain bread sometimes a little thin. So this is a nice hearty heavy bread, and it's healthy carbs. So have a toast with your eggs in the morning, have half a sandwich for a snack, have a sandwich for lunch. These are good carbs, your body's going to break them down easily, and you're not going to regret it after. So some key factors that helped me out during this whole transition into gestational diabetes world, I found a gestational diabetes support group on Facebook, and it's literally just a group where women come and complain and ask questions and give each other advice, and it is so nice to know that you're not the only one out there. So I highly advise you, if you have gestational diabetes, find these support groups on Facebook, online. I know a lot of people ask a ton of questions on like what not to expect app. It helps tremendously. Even if it's just a simple question, you take a picture and you say, is this okay? Or, you know, if you're in a quick hurry to do something, these women usually respond super fast. There's a ton of members. I think there's over 1,000 members. It's worldwide. So we have people chiming in at all times of the day because of the time differences, which is so cool. And you get some tips that you don't even think of yourself, maybe a meal plan that you didn't think of that sounds really good, or if you're feeling really down that day. I know a lot of people with GD, you just feel down on yourself because you feel like you've created this, but you haven't. And another tip of advice that helped me is prep the house and the baby stuff first, because believe it or not, we're just talking about diets and food. It's exhausting thinking about, and it's exhausting having to eat on a schedule and having to prick your finger every 2 hours, and people say, well, that's not a big deal. It turns into a big deal if you learn. If you're early in your gestational diabetes experience, you've maybe learned this already. I don't know. I personally find it a pain in the butt when I'm out and about and I'm busy and I'm running here and there trying to collect all this baby stuff and trying to do events and work. It can be so tiring and so emotionally exhausting having to think about it. Or if you're a spouse, like sometimes my husband and I don't want to eat at the same times, but I have to eat because it's going to throw my numbers off if I don't. So I say prep everything that you can early. And that includes foods, lunches, the house, cleaning, and anything else. Everything that you can prep, do when you're early in your gestational diabetes. Because one, you might go early. That's one risk factor of having gestational diabetes. My doctor and I are talking about 37 to 39 weeks. I might go into labor naturally, but I also might have to be induced. They're not going to allow me to go past 40 weeks because of several reasons, but mostly because Talia is so big. And gosh, I just prep yourself. There's no reason not to. If you know what's going on and you know your schedule, just prep. Things that I would die without. I Google all of my nutritional facts if I'm out and about. If I have to go to a fast food restaurant because that's what my husband wants for lunch, and we've been running all day, I'm not going to say, no, don't go to Burger King because I can't eat there. I quickly Google how many nutritional facts for a double cheeseburger Burger King, and it'll come up with every single thing and you can decide what's best for you. Chicken sandwiches aren't that bad. Yes, they're not on whole wheat buns, but so walk when you get out of the car. There's other things that you can do if you do have to cheat on your gestational diabetes diet. Don't feel awful or guilty. Don't give yourself a guilt trip. There's no reason to do so. Just make the wisest decision for what situation you are in at that moment. Like I said before, keep easy to grab snacks in your pantry or in your purse or in your car. I literally leave my box of Special K bars in my car. They just sit in there. I just find it much easier to start and end your day on a very healthy, good meal. I feel like when I wake up and my numbers are good and I eat breakfast, my numbers are still good, it gives me motivation for the rest of the day. And also when you go to bed, those bed numbers do matter because it's going to affect your morning numbers. So it's all this continuous cycle of wanting to eat healthy and wanting to eat good things that give you good sugar results. So I say if you start and end your day good, you will have an easier day. If you want to sneak a little something that maybe you shouldn't be eating, like the other day I bought Halloween candy. I had a payday, it was like this big. Why did I feel guilty over this? But I snuck it in at lunch and it didn't matter because I was so busy that day anyways that I kind of just burned off those calories anyways. So just for my experience alone, this is my schedule now that I have gestational diabetes. I'm coming up to 34 weeks next week. I'm 33 weeks and 3 days. So I will be doing weekly BPP and NST, like a non-stress test, weekly. That will include a small sono to see my fluid, if the baby's moving, how often she's moving, her heart rate, my heart rate, the whole thing. So I'll have that weekly. And then on top of that, every 4 weeks I get a measuring sonogram. At measuring sonograms, they're simply measuring how big the baby is. My first measuring sonogram at 29 weeks, Talia was measuring at 3 pounds and 13 ounces, which if you don't have gestational diabetes, you know that's really big. So they said she was in the 90th percentile. She should have only been in the 50th at that point. So she's going to be a big baby, unless for some reason she slows down. My next measuring sonogram is actually next Tuesday, so it'll be very interesting to see how much she has grown in the 4 weeks, and we'll kind of be able to pan it out from there and see how much she is growing per week. They say the rule of thumb is a half a pound per week, so she should have gained at least 2 pounds, but since she was already almost 4 pounds, that means she's going to be close to 6 or over 6. So we will see, and we'll just have to mark it on the charts and watch very closely. So I'm at 33 weeks. I'm thinking that I'm going to be giving birth in the next 5 weeks. 38 weeks seems to be the happy medium between after the safe zone of 37 weeks and before 40 weeks, because they don't want me to go past that 40 weeks. So I already have a timeline and I'm already thinking about that, and I'm prepping this house now so I'm not going mad later. You guys saw I was doing the nursery very early. I'm glad that I did that, because after the shower I received all these gifts and items that I had to go through. I still have to wash all of her baby clothes. I still have to prep all of my cloth diapers. So there's just a lot still going on, and I'm glad that I'm able to do it now rather than at 35 weeks and being in the risk pool for either going in early or being induced early. So I'm glad that I'm getting this all done now. I have only gained a pound this entire pregnancy. I still don't know how, because the baby's almost 4 pounds at 29 weeks, so we know she's gaining weight. I can't even attribute or contribute the gestational diabetes diet to it, because I was losing weight my entire pregnancy until now. I'll take it. She's gaining weight. She's healthy. The doctors have no concerns with it. This does happen to several women, I guess. So I am +1 at this point. I just had a doctor's appointment on Tuesday. Today's Thursday. So all is well, and we did an NST on Tuesday as well, and everything was great. She's moving around and she's moving and grooving, so we have no concerns at all. But I am only +1, so if you end up losing weight on this diet, don't worry right away. Make sure that you go into those appointments and you tell them, I don't understand, can you please explain this? And they'll do a growth sono on you and just see how big the baby is and make sure that she's growing adequately. If you have GD, you are going to go into these growth sonos if you like it or not, so you better just like it. And then also, like I said, I am on that 2.5 milligram of glyburide. I don't love glyburide. If you Google glyburide and the side effects, there are a ton. I didn't like it at first, but then I kind of talked myself off the ledge. Insulin is more complicated. Glyburide is an easy little pill. I am only taking it for the 6 weeks that I've been on it, which I am more comfortable with, because had I been diagnosed earlier, like if or when I get pregnant again, they'll test me for gestational diabetes earlier. If they want to put me on glyburide, then I might have to consider switching to insulin. Insulin does not cross the membrane of the placenta. Glyburide does. So I don't love that. I don't want to be on medication. I don't like the idea of things crossing. Any pill form of anything is going to cross the membrane. So, and if you know, like, I'm trying to do a natural birth. So I'm not a huge fan of it, but I'm going to do it because my doctor has no concerns about it. She is, both of them, the gestational diabetes doctor and my OB, are both confident that there should not be any concerns with it. They have looked at the studies and they're fine with it. There are some other side effects that I have not experienced. Women have been throwing up, nauseous, dizzy off of it. I never had an issue with it, maybe because I take it at bed, I'm just sleeping the whole time. And I'm on a very, very low dose just that one time a day. Other people take it all day and need that help. So maybe I'm just not affected by the side effects, or I am and I just don't know it. But yeah, so that's my gestational diabetes update. I'm sorry that I've been gone for so long. I hope if anyone has any questions or if you have gestational diabetes, comment below, and don't forget to subscribe to see how this all turns out, because it'll be very interesting to see when I give birth. Now we're on a countdown. Alright guys, I'll see you later, and as always, keep calm and keep bumping along.